Well, this is Cindy for another edition of Monday Musings, and I have a big old mess right here on my table because I'm about to make another mini album. So I wanted to show you the album I'm using. It's from October Afternoon. It's the 5 and Dime mini album, and it comes with 4 chipboard large tags, and it also comes with some October Afternoon 5 and Dime pre-cut pages, all for under $10, and of course they are double-sided. They're the same on each side, but they are double-sided. And it also comes with your ring to put it together, and with some little reinforcers. Now, with the Valentine's mini album that I'm making today, I'm not going to use these papers, but I'm going to save them for later, where I can die cut them into something else, or I can use them without the chipboard if I just want to make a paper album. And I'm going to use the chipboards and cover them with Valentine paper. I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz seasonal stash papers and a whole lot of other embellishments. So I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to come back on the video and show you what I did. Okay, well, I'm all finished with my Valentine's album, and I want to show you that I used the Love Struck stamps designed by Tim Holtz, and I also used the Valentine Silhouette. I think you've probably seen these around. I used just one of these stamps that they're sayings by children, and I really, make sure you can see this, and I really like them, and I'm going to check and see if we can get them in the store. And again, I used my Fiskars stamp press. I used the seasonal stash stickers by Tim Holtz, and also a couple of stickers from the Lost and Found. I think I used 1 or 2 from there. And of course, always my applicators. I also used Fire Brick and Picket Fence Distress Stains, my glossy accents. I used Craft & Bond glue stick by Elmer's. It worked really well for me. And then the 3 distress inks I used were Black Soot. I just used that on 1 stamp. But mostly I used tea dye and aged mahogany throughout the entire album. And then this is from American Crafts. It's a little ribbon that I used a couple of times that I picked up, and it says Love on it in a lot of different fonts and colors. And then of course I used my October Afternoon 5 and Dime mini album. Okay, so here's what I made. Well, let's go this way. I also used a little bit of tulle and that ribbon for my decoration on the D-ring. Okay, my first page, I used a vintage graphic that I got online. There are a lot of nice places where you can get free graphics and free vintage things that you can print off and use. And I colored it with tea dye, and I put some basil paper on the background. I also used the squares. I think you can see that's a little 2-inch or 1-inch squares as the backup. I put an upholstered button on there because the blue went along with the blue in the garland here. And then I used a rub-on that says I love it when we're together. And then I put a fragment over top of that to kind of magnify it. Okay. Then on the other side, I used that same, I used the basil again, but it's a little bit lighter burgundy. And here's my brown ribbon stretched across there. I used a sticker from here, from these, see, I think I used this one right here, and another sticker, and this says Kisses. And what I did here was I made a second generation stamp. I used this stamp from Tim Holtz's Silhouette, but I put it on and I inked it up. Let me go ahead and do it for you now. I inked it up and then I stamped it off onto some scrap paper to get most of the ink off of it, and then I stamped it again on here so that it would just barely be there, and so that it would be kind of in the background. Okay, so I call that a second generation stamp. Okay, then on this page, well, maybe I should take them off the ring. I think that'll be easier to show you. Okay, so that was our first page. Having a problem. The second page. Now you might remember from last week's thing, I made a charm, and I kept it, and I decided to use it today. And I've got one of the little pins that I just kind of stuck down in. I had to be careful not to stick it out the other side of my page to hang it on. Another sticker and some paper flowers, and I inked over that with the aged mahogany, and I also inked over the leaves with aged mahogany, and this is a metal heart. And I also used a little piece of punchinella and laid it on there and went over it with my almost dry applicator and made that little texture in there. And on this side, I used again the seasonal Valentine pages and some stickers. I had some buttons in my stash and put a sticker on there, and then I found something that I could just, you know, like stamp on there for a small amount of journaling. And on here you could put a picture or you could journal. Okay, my next page, I put some more roses on it, and again distressed the leaves and things, and I put a little bit of lace. Oops, that should probably be tucked in behind there. And I put a lock and a key, and then my sentiment is this metal sentiment that I had in my stash that I hadn't ever used, and went digging through my stash, and it says "Key to my heart," and here's room for a picture. On the other side, well, I'm having some trouble with this coming off, and I thought I had dried it enough, but I hadn't. Okay, so on the other side, I've got the back of this page, and I cut out one of the elements from the other side of this page. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, I cut out one of the squares from this page and then put it on the back of the page. And I had some buttons that were piano and notes, and so I cut off the shanks and put those on with glossy accent, and then I put some bling on, and also used a piece of music paper I had, and I put aged mahogany around it and tea dye, and I did another second generation stamp here with this stamp. Okay, And then my last page, I kind of like this one. I offset this oval, and this is the stamp that I use from the ones that the kids make. You make me smile all over my face. I really like those. And this was a chipboard hand that I stained with the fired brick, and then I went over it with the picket fence so I could lighten it, pink it up just a little bit, and then I distressed around the edges with the aged mahogany. And I put another little Love Always metal thing on there. Got to use 2 of those, and I have it pointing towards the 14. And my last page, my back cover, I stamped this with aged mahogany. No, with tea dye, and then I did it distressed around the edges with aged mahogany. These are some things I've had in my stash forever and ever, so I used them and put a little bling there. And then this is a sticker from the from the Lost and Found salvage stickers, and there's a whole page of calendars, and I pulled off February, and I elevated it a little bit on some foam tape, and I also elevated this one on foam tape, and my mat is the same paper as this. And so what I did was I tried to coordinate, have both sides of each page on there, because I knew that they would work together really well. Then I put it together with my D-ring, or my ring, whatever that. It's not a D-ring, it's a ring. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my Valentine album. I had a good time making it, and we'll see what comes up, what I'm going to do for next week. I don't know yet. So I may do another Valentine thing, because it'll be still a little bit before Valentine's, or I might go ahead and think up something for spring. So thanks for joining me on Monday Musings.